waiting for her return.
Right, settle in. We're going to have a wee chat about Dracula, A Love Tale. A film that has absolutely no business being as decent as it turned out to be. And before you ask, I went into this completely blind, having seen precisely zero marketing, zero trailers, and harbouring zero expectations beyond, well, it can't be worse than the pretentious shite Nosferatu we got recently, can it? Spoiler, it wasn't. In fact, it was actually, and I hate to say it, but good. I know, I'm as shocked as you are. So here's the premise, and buckle up because it's a long one. This film clocks in at a run time that'll have your arse going numb. We've got our boy Vlad, right, and he's not starting out as some pasty-faced bloodsucker lurking in the shadows. Oh no, we get him as a proper fire-breathing prince, living his best life, absolutely loving the whole being alive thing, while simultaneously making other people decidedly not alive anymore. He's having a grand time until he loses his soulmate, Elizabetta, decides God can get to fuck, and embarks on his century-spanning quest to find a reincarnation. Now, first thing that grabbed me, and I mean properly grabbed me by the eyeballs, was the cinematography. I'm sitting here thinking, this looks different. It's a bit too good. What's going on here? Turns out, the mad bastard that made this actually shot it on 35mm Kodak film stock, actual film, in 2025, when everyone else is just slapping digital filters on everything and calling it cinematic. And credit where it's due, cinematographer Colin Wandersman has crafted something genuinely striking here. Cinematography is genuinely solid. I'll give you fair warning. There are scenes darker than a Scotsman's sense of humour. Now, whether that's Wandersman getting a bit too artistic, the VFX team slapping too many layers on it, or the colourist having a wee crisis, I can't say for certain. But here's the thing, and this pains me to admit it, it's leagues better than most of the murky nonsense we're getting from Hollywood these days. At least when it's dark, it feels intentional rather than we couldn't be asked to light it properly. Let's talk about Caleb Landry Jones, our leading man. Now, you might recognise him from 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, or X-Men First Class, or even fetal alcohol syndrome is a problem. Sorry, that's not fair. But here he is taking on the titular bloodsucker himself, and by God does he represent something beautiful, the everyman's hope. This is a bloke so aggressively average, so spectacularly bland in appearance, that watching him pull not one but multiple stunning women throughout history gives every ordinary Joe watching this a dangerous amount of false confidence. You can practically hear men worldwide thinking, if this beige wallpaper of a human being can land a soulmate that keeps reincarnating just to find them again, maybe there's hope for me yet. You know what? Fair play to him. He held my attention for 2+ hours, which is more than most pretty boys manage these days. The acting was solid, nothing that'll have radical on, but competent enough that I wasn't cringing. Jones apparently wore over 20 different costumes throughout the film as he traversed the centuries, and he stays in character between takes, which is either deeply committed or slightly unhinged. Probably a bit of both. The real standout here is, as always, is Christoph Waltz as a Van Helsing-type priest character, 2-time Oscar winner, known for stealing every scene he's in, from Django Unchained to Inglourious Bastards. And here he's doing what he does best, bringing proper gravitas to scenes that could have been laughable in lesser hands. The man understands the assignment, delivers it with that trademark Waltz mix of menace and charm, and elevates everything around him. Then we've got Ewan's Abid as Jonathan Harker. And here's where things get, well, interesting. Someone clearly told this lad, play it as a parody of every uptight English toff you've ever seen in a period drama. And he went, say no more, and cranked it up to 11. Now, is it subtle? Fuck no. Is it entertaining? Surprisingly, yes. He's camping it up like he's at a Victorian garden party. In the context of this film's whole vibe, that somehow works. Zoe Blue Seidel plays the dual role of Elisabetta and her reincarnation Mina, and she's the emotional anchor that makes this whole waiting 400 years for love concept actually land. Right, so I'm watching this movie, getting properly drawn into this batshit variation of the Dracula story, and that's rare for me, by the way. Actually enjoying a film rather than mentally composing my visceration of it when the credits ultimately roll. And I see that the writer, producer and director, Luc bloody Besson. I had the actual mean moment pointing at the screen like that Leonardo DiCaprio gif. That explains it, I shouts out. This is the man who gave us The Fifth Element, Leon the Professional, and don't think less of me, that criminally underrated gem, Valerian, and the City of a Thousand Planets. Say what you will about Besson, but the man knows how to craft a visual spectacle and tell a story that keeps you glued to your seat. Besson himself admitted he's not even a fan of horror films or Dracula stories. What drew him in was wanting to work with Caleb Landry Jones again after their collaboration on Dogman and thinking about what role would suit him. He settled on reimagining Dracula, not as a horror film, but as a tragic romantic love story. A man who waits for 400 years for the reincarnation of his wife. It's a bit of a mental premise, and yet somehow he makes it work. Shot in Finnish Lapland in the Kainuu region, which immediately makes sense the moment you see it. Scenery isn't just a backdrop, it's practically a character itself. Moody forests, gothic architecture, snowy landscapes that look like they're perpetually 3 minutes away from a vampire attack. The Finns have been holding out on us clearly. Their countryside is absolutely perfect for brooding supernatural romance, and this film uses every inch of it. Now here's where the film surprised me most, the ending. Without spoiling too much for those who haven't seen it yet, there's this thread running through the whole narrative about redemption. Dracula spent 4 centuries as punishment for renouncing God, searching for his lost love, essentially trapped in his own curse. But the film suggests, and I'm being careful here, that maybe, just maybe, redemption is possible even for someone who spent 400 years as a creature of the night. It's a surprisingly hopeful message wrapped up in the gothic horror and romance. If this tormented soul who's committed God knows how many atrocities across the centuries can find some form of salvation, then perhaps there's hope for any of us. It's not preachy, it's not heavy-handed, but it's there. This quiet suggestion that love and redemption aren't mutually exclusive, even after centuries of darkness. That's a bold thematic choice in a genre that usually revels in damnation and eternal punishment. It gives the whole film a surprisingly emotional weight that stays with you right after the credits roll. Look, I'll be honest, here's the thing. Dracula, a love tale, has absolutely no right to be this good. It should be a straight-to-streaming mess that gets forgotten faster than your New Year resolutions. The premise is well worn. The lead actor looks like he'd struggle to win a personality contest against a piece of cardboard. To say he's a blank canvas is an understatement. And yet, another bloody vampire film in a market saturated with sparkly bloodsuckers and gothic romance. But somehow, through a combination of gorgeous 35mm cinematography from Colin Wandersman, solid performances from Jones and Waltz, Besson's directorial eye and the sheer audacity to shoot an actual film in 2025, it actually works. It's entrancing. I found myself in that increasingly rare state of genuine enjoyment while watching a movie, rather than just hate watching it for content. No, I wouldn't never do that. Or counting down the minutes until I could slag it off. Again, that's just not me, if you know me. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it sometimes too dark? Well, maybe, aye. Is Caleb Landry Jones ever going to win awards for raw charisma? Or certainly not. I bet he never won a Best Baby contest. But does it deliver an engaging, visually stunning take on a story we've seen 1,000 times before? Surprisingly, yes. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10, and I'm as shocked as you are. After the disappointment that was Nosferatu, Dracula, a love tale, came like a breath of fresh air, or perhaps, more appropriately, like a cool mist in a Finnish forest at twilight. It's worth a watch. In fact, it's worth more than a watch. It's worth your time, which is one of the highest compliments I can give a movie these days. Maybe bring a cushion for the runtime, because your arse will thank you later. And if you're feeling particularly existential, stick around for that ending. Might just give you a wee bit of hope that redemption's possible for all of us poor bastards stumbling through life. Now, if you excuse me, I need to go lie down. Giving a film 8 out of 10 has left me feeling disturbingly positive, and I need to watch something terrible to restore balance to my grumpy soul. I'm great.